Welcome back, everybody. And we are at the Will Talk Show. I am so happy and thrilled that we have an amazing school principal with us today. Somebody who's had so much experience traveling the world, dealing with teachers from all across different cultures and different school communities. And, this person has also been the lead school designer, co founded this excellent school that we are in. This is the Valitus International School in Bangalore. And we absolutely wanted to meet him, talk to him, pick his brains about, what were the things that he thought about when he was designing a school. Most of the time we say it's the time of design that you have already set up constraints in your school. At the design stage itself. Constraints have been set. Fixed furniture, for example, classroom sizes, for example, way children move between classrooms. A lot of innovation people start thinking of doing after their school is made, and then they realize that infrastructure becomes a constraint, it becomes a restraint. And here is a school that me, my team, all of us were super thrilled to see. We don't even need to meet anyone because the minute you walk into the school, you know that learning is happening here. Learning is visible on the walls. Learning is visible in the environment. And the space is collaborative, right? And all this happens because who designs the school, who leads the learning of the school, is somebody with vision and passion. And I want to introduce you all to the principal of the school, Mr. Venkata Suresh. Thank you so much for taking the time out and inviting us over. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and, the stuff you've done over the past. We want to know, we want to know your experiences and how you got here.
Thank you, Willie. Indeed, I should say it's an honor for me to share some of the knowledge that I have today, with the community. Because I think as teachers, all of us would always enjoy giving, right? I'm sure you'll agree
That's
that.
true, yeah.
So, in a nutshell, if I have to say that I'm a 25-year-old teacher, must have spent thousands of hours in classrooms. I do active teaching even till date. Even today, I taught couple of lessons today. And I'm happy about it because that's my passion. Because, right, a doctor would go and treat a patient, right? Won't sit and manage the hospital. So similarly, being a school leader, I feel the first obligation, the first duty more than an obligation is teaching, which I love, that has been there maybe since generations because there are a lot of great teachers in my ancestral group if we see. Fine, that's about myself as a teacher, of course as a leader, about 1.5 decades so far. So, I thoroughly enjoyed my journey as a teacher, right from the age of 21 to now 45. Every day has been a learning, right? And every day is a challenging day, at times, when you meet a child, try to understand them, right? Today I was just meeting a couple of parents, and we were discussing on how comfortable teachers will be with children all the time, and with everyone. In fact, I was actually telling them, look, it's not easy, because every child is so different. Even with a lot of experience, I feel the importance of a parent connecting with the school is so vital at times. Now, coming to my education, schooling, all that happened from AP. And I did start my first work from Hyderabad. I was heading a couple of international schools. I was teaching initially, and then later I got the opportunity to lead them. Then, of course, I had this opportunity to work in Dubai, so where I was working for Ambassador School, and I was managing a school which had challenges initially, but then it is thriving today, which really gives me great joy because it's a great school with tremendous achievements today. It's a wonderful experience for any individual to see.
So for me, you seem like an educational leader who's going to be an absolute joy to work with. Like I'm sure your teachers completely admire you, and And under your leadership, I think they're able to really deliver a lot of value for children. So from that context, I wanted to understand, you have this experience in Dubai. You've obviously been in the international education, international schooling space for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I think as you mentioned, you started off as a teacher,
Yeah.
and you spent a lot of time teaching the international curriculum
Right.
in India, especially at a time when international curriculum was not known.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every school would say international school, but they
True.
really didn't have that. So, what did you see or learn, or what are your thoughts about in terms of the international learning curriculum and style and things like that? Anything that you'd like to share?
I should say a lot,
Okay.
right? Because initially, the first year when I did start teaching the middle year students, and then when we were introduced of the curriculum, we were very confused, to be very honest, because I was doing it the national curriculum way, and then we were finding ways and means to how do we do a creative lesson, right? How do we make things interesting for students? How do we ensure that we reach out to every single child? And in those days, fortunately or unfortunately, we had like too many lessons to teach in a day. So the preparation time was actually huge, after work. So in fact, I should say at least a decade of my career initially, I don't know whether it is a good thing or a wrong, bad thing, but I spent most of my time for the profession. I never bothered about my other personal aspects because the joy in teaching and being with kids was so different. And every day when I started learning something new and then taking it to the class, giving a surprise element in the class, and teaching them how to do an informed inquiry and uninformed inquiry, oh, it's lovely. I mean, it can't be described easily. So today, like you mentioned earlier, now what do I do with my teachers on a day-to-day basis? I tell them very clearly, see, whenever we meet, we need to talk about what are the best things that you have done recently. What were the wow things? Because I feel just like a child, every teacher has a great potential. And everybody has got their own style of, doing things. And unfortunately, see, what we try to do sometimes at schools is trying to regulate people to fit into a way that the school demands. I think that's where teachers fail, because they have a style and we need to give them that little space and trust to see that, they put their heart, soul, and mind. Like today, just before this interview, I'm really excited to share. A math teacher wrote to me an email. She sent me some pictures of an activity that she did outdoor. She sent all that, and then I responded, wonderful. After 10 minutes, I get a reply back stating, I just wanted to tell you that I designed this activity and I did not take anything from the internet. Now, this is a wonderful thing. Somebody is being very creative, not taking some information from somewhere, and it's an original thought which is contextualized to students. And I think what is missing today, like initially you asked about Velistus. See, the word is a very, very deep word. Its meaning is enlightenment. So we feel, ultimately every human, the final stage of learning, or to reach, to achieve is enlightenment. It's that spiritual gain that we do. Spiritual need not be religion, as sometimes people do misunderstand, right? It's all about knowing oneself and the connection of that self with the world, right? And how are we better? How do we give joy to everybody around us? I think these are the things which are really exciting.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when you tell me that you have this teacher, right, who's created something,
Yeah.
and then she shared it with you,
Yeah.
right? That just goes to show so much that teachers have autonomy, they have freedom, and they're thinking, right? They're thinking teachers,
Yeah.
and they're trying to see what is it that they can create, right? That is of value,
Absolutely.
for her students, right, in this school. And I have to say that a lot of that is a function of space and freedom, okay? Space and freedom. And that's what I'm seeing beautiful in the school. Like just the space the design of the school, I think, just makes people feel more connected to a student and more connected to the process of learning. Would you want to share a little bit more about what are all those things that went through your mind? What are those considerations that you came through? How did you arrive at designing something so unique? And because it costs a lot of money, it's
Yeah.
easy to do what sells and that what works. But it's not easy, right? To go out there and completely do something different, because people are not just going to look at a building and come flocking to the school.
Right.
Correct. So you still have to do that crazy amount of I don't know, evangelization in that method. Right? You got to bring that sense of safety
Right.
and security for parents as well. So how do you go about doing that? That would be very interesting for other people who are at the cusp of doing something different, but something's holding them back. You
Yeah.
know?
Now, I did mention to you that I did travel around the world, I mean, to about 40 odd countries, I mean, and my passion has always been in education, especially learning, school children, because that's where you feel that, warmth, that deep love, and connect with people, and then all other things we forget, right? So basically, couple of countries, of course, I would want to mention, because we always take the names of top 5 countries in the world with the PISA scores or XYZ scores, right? I mean, interestingly, I had the opportunity to pursue a course from NIAE Singapore. I did participate in one, then of course from Finland, and then I did work in Dubai. So I did voluntary teaching in Russia.
Rush.
Yeah. So now these are very, very interesting experiences I had. But when I tried to collate all these ideas and then, try to check, how these countries are so successful, in terms of producing the best outcomes, and why not India? But is really India doing well? These were all the questions that were puzzling my mind, from the day that I started traveling. When it came up to this school, when we sat all of us together, myself, the management team, we did discuss that, we wanted a school which is different, right? And we wanted a school which is a trendsetter. Then what just struck to my mind are only 3 basic things, like why not we have something which is very futuristic and close to nature. So nature and future. These were 2 ideal things. And the third most important thing is, see, I think culturally, if the world has to learn something, right? If it is creativity, if it is inquiry, all that, I think West is an ideal example for us. But when it comes to, humanness, when it comes to the way of living, it's India that we should look for, right? And from ages it has been. So we looked at what were the most ancient universities, Nalanda, right? And those universities, if you look at the old Gurukula style, small group learning community, children went to forests, stayed with a guru, there was so much of rapport, and then the guru was very clear and he knew his students very well. And he has used strategies as per the needs of students. See, we are calling differentiation today as a big jargon, but I think it did exist in India several thousands of years back. So it's nothing new that we have created, in terms of, replicating that old Gurukula as a modern Gurukula in nature. I know this is a very difficult thing to achieve because, it costs so much of money, to leave 80% of your space for green. Green belt is not an easy thing in a city like Bangalore. But thankfully, I would say our gardening board was very, very, I would say smart, wise. Wise is a better word because they saw the value of what we are going to give from a campus like this.
And I'm actually seeing that you are the principal of the school,
Yeah.
but you were involved right from day one,
Right.
before even the school was built.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, that is not a practice that normally happens, right?
Yeah.
because a lot of managements are always trying to skim and save budgets and say, okay, let's build a school and then we'll hire a principal. Correct? But I'm actually seeing that. Is there wisdom to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would give a lot of it to our vice chairman, Srinivas Chelshani. Because Srinivas Chelshani met me in Finland, and we both were batchmates in a course. And to be very honest, my initial remark is to see a management member to sit in a group of principals to learn learning pedagogies sounded very interesting to me. And then that's when we both had a word with each other. He did mention that he's looking for a international school, future, right? In a couple of years he's going to set up. And incidentally, what happened after we returned back, we both were in touch with us, and he requested me to find a principal for his school. I never expected that I would land up in this project, because I finished my earlier project. And the same time when he was looking at, so he said, why not you come in and then we can start working from the initial stages. I think it makes a lot of sense. What people think usually is, bringing a good interior designing company, bringing some experts, things would do. But I feel one has to do a lot of contextualization, right? That we did. If you look at this school, every inch of it is planned. And some of the practices...
Education has a purpose.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And every practice that we are doing today, some of them are like we are the first in this country to launch,
Wow.
So in the sense, because I feel we need to bring in a lot of accountability when it comes to learning, right? For a child, everybody should take ownership. It's not only the school. Parent, teacher, leaders, management, all are equal partners. And if everybody contributes, then you see the outcomes coming up really well.
It's amazing. Tell me a little bit more about how this the learning spaces are designed here. Like,
Yeah.
If somebody listening to us and says classroom, yeah, okay, benches and rows and a blackboard and maybe a LCD screen or something. Paint a picture of what a
Right.
good learning environment looks like.
Yeah. See, past, I think at least a decade or so, or even more, we all are using jargons like 21st century scales. Now we are saying 22nd century scales. And we are also talking about 4th industrial revolution, 5th industrial revolution, what and what not. But see, I think we all fail to observe when it goes to a classroom, we are expecting a child to be creative in what setup? Do you expect the child to be very creative in a setup which is very restrictive? So we looked at options as to why not we have a school which has flexibility in everything, right? So again, so what we did is, so we thought, okay, rather than having a dedicated space to a class, of course, during pandemic, we had to follow that norm, because we can't mix up children everywhere, right? We had to follow the norms. But then the actual model that we are working here is that kids move between spaces depending on the need of the methodology. So because different methods need different spaces.
So we want to expand that a little bit because people, maybe parents who are watching who don't understand that from a pedagogical perspective.
Like for example, if we have a seminar, right? Why not you have a small seminar hall where that kind of an ambience is given for a child? It's easy, right? For them, they'll face. Let's imagine the child has to face an interview or something, okay? Now, why not have a proper setup like an interview, right? And let's imagine if you are talking about investigating life in an ecosystem. But does the school has a real ecosystem? Of course, we have here controlled and uncontrolled ecosystems. Some in nature, some we are controlling. Like we have a koi pond within the building, which is all controlled starting from algae, the growth, whatever comes there, because we constantly test, treat, all that happens. And we have another pond outdoors, which is just left to nature, right, to thrive. Now, so for a child, it's a beautiful example to go and then learn and then to explore on his own. I feel nature is a very complex thing, right? And unfortunately, man has always thought, that he has won over nature. I'm sorry. We all are seeing the consequences every single day, right?
Yeah.
So we lost the war, right? I mean, why not be friends, with nature and learn along with it, and then let children gain that experience and expertise, because nature has a lot of problems within. And if they are able to find few solutions to that, I think we did our job.
Phenomenal. So you're saying kids actually move from space to space,
Yes.
not like a bell rings and teachers move.
No, no.
Kids move, and they move into spaces designed for the designed to support the learning outcomes of that particular course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. That. And does that actually mean like that learning space then is sort of owned by the teacher who teaches that? Hence, she can personalize that. She can add the resources, the visual cues.
That's also a question here now. That's a beautiful question. I should thank you for asking me that. I noticed in all my, previous experiences in these different countries, there are only two types of models for classrooms. Either children are fixed or teachers are fixed.
Okay.
Now, I wanted a setup
India,
where everywhere
traditionally is teachers, children are fixed.
children are fixed.
Correct.
But then outside you will see, that flexibility of children go to the teacher's room. But see, I just wanted a setup which is not owned by anyone. Why should anybody own it? Why? Because see, again, now I think this self of owning something also made us a lot of, selfish attitude or an approach, right? Why not be flexible? Why not we learn to share, right? You may have a space, somebody might use now and then someone else might lose little later. But then if a space is used...
Collective ownership.
Absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
With ownership comes the sense of possession, and that may then kind of not
Absolutely.
be the place where we want our kids to. But collective ownership.
Also, the other thing is we do talk about a lot of cross-curricular linking. Now, if people don't move to
People
different
need to-
rooms and then see what's in there,
But people need to know what this cross-curricular link means.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah.
only know curricular, extracurricular. What's cross-curricular?
I'll make it simple. I'll make it simple. It's a simple thing. See, problems in life, in nature, right? In our real world, they are not like English, math, science, social based, right? Every problem in our life will have, some kind of, different domains coming together.
That's true.
Let's imagine our pet at home is not eating food. Okay. Now, which subject does it pertain to? Right? Is it biology? Is it physics? Is it chemistry? What is it? Is it math? Right? Because again, now, because it depends on how much quantity of food is being given to that pet or what is its health stage, what is the environment around. There are a lot of factors that influence the noise levels, X, Y, Z and all. Now, so how do we teach a child that the problems in real world are not subject based, right? They'll have everything. Now, so when you move around rooms which has different things happening, teachers as well as children get to see what others are doing and then we learn, right? Subtly we learn. Human brain perceives everything that's around them. It might not use at that moment, but it will use a little later when it is needed.
So what I'm seeing here is, from what you're saying is, a school principal, okay, is the designer of the learning experience.
I would say it should be the teacher and the child.
The teacher and the child.
Yeah.
Okay. The teacher and the child is the designer of the learning experience. So how does then, what do you see the school principal being able to do to support that and help that? And because a lot must be on the shoulders of the principal as well, right?
Absolutely. I always tell my team that we are servants to kids, right? We serve. We are there to
Yes.
serve them, right? Not to boss over them, right? So the leadership, I feel, should bring in a lot of resources, lot of technologies, provide options.
Provide options.
Absolutely. Options and experiences. The leader's job is to bring in connections, bring in collaborations, bring in freshness of thoughts. So my role purely is, I usually allow my team to do whatever they plan to do. So sometimes I know very clearly that what they have planned is not that very good. But, I give them that space to fail also. It's all right, because that's how people learn. When they review it, they know that we could have done little more better than what is expected. right? So of course I do take part in their reflections and then give them insights. So the leader's job has to, it has to be assisting teachers and children at different points of time. And children have to take their own ownership, for learning. And I think that's when we can multiply the outcomes to several times.
I want to tell you something. I was told, right, and I think you'll agree. I was told that children are the same everywhere, across the world, across schools, across budgets, across
Yeah.
curriculums, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Children are the same everywhere. There's not a lot that is different between 6-year-olds across the country.
Right.
Okay. But here's my take on it. My take on this is children are the same everywhere, but parents are not the same.
It's an interesting thing.
Parents are not the same everywhere, right? While their expectations may be same, their stated expectations may be same, but their reactions to those expectations, the patience level to those expectations may be different. So my question to you here is, while we curate and design exceptional teachers,
Yeah.
while we curate and design exceptional learning experiences for children,
Yeah.
and while we are saying that the role of a parent, the role of the home, the role of the caregiver is so critical in the shaping of the child's learning journey and future success and achievement. What do you think? This is, I really want you to think through this question, right? Because I don't want anyone to misunderstand. What is the best fit parent? What is the what is the best fit parent for a school like this? Because look, when you're doing something different, right?
Yeah.
It's so important that we get the right parent. There's no wrong parent,
Ah.
but the best fit, the most suitable. What would you say?
Yeah. See,
know?
I think.
So that parents can self-reflect and say, hey, this school is for me.
Yeah.
You know?
No, maybe, Willie, you should forgive me if I correct you little, right?
Please.
So what, see, kids, even though we all say kids are same all around the world, I taught about 20 odd nationalities. Now, my experience speaks slightly different.
Okay.
Okay, how? See, kids are same in the sense of their make, their thinking, but their way of expression to an adult is very different in some countries because there are a lot of cultural barriers, because they are used to a certain type of approach of meeting the adults. So if an Indian teacher goes to teach Russian kids, right, or German kids, or Korean kids, fortunately, I had the opportunity to teach all these three nationalities. Kids are very different. Their basically their experiences, again, it all depends on their past of what they are carrying, right? Koreans are very quiet, they're very humble, when they see a new face, they take time to react, to say, right? Whereas you would see an Indian boy anywhere on the earth just jumping with joy, and then answering, right? See, there is this high contextual and low contextual communication. So some countries do have this. See, in India, right, our communication is high contextual communication. So if I'm saying smilingly, no, it means yes, right? So a child from Germany would think, oh, he's meaning no. That means it's a sheer no, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot of problems, but then how I coped up is I did talk to my children openly. I always asked them to give me feedback, tell me where I'm going wrong, how do I improve myself, and I genuinely approached them, because when even a teacher asks at times, children won't answer anything. They won't tell you. They won't give you feedback at times. But I kept on asking these different groups, at different intervals, and then, of course, few opened up and they told us that, see, look, you promised us something and you didn't do. That's when I understood, this has got to do with my communication. I better improve it because this is not working with these kids. So similarly, I will tag all the parents to the same thing, high and low contextual communication. So basically, I feel no parent on this earth, of course, unfortunately, there is a very significant minority who might harm children, right? That's there in every society, right? except those little which we can just ignore. The rest always wants to do good to their child. But for them, the thing is, if they have a different school, they need to go and then understand, what the school is offering, right? And when we explain them, we also need to see, are we really communicating well? I feel 95% of the problems of this world today are due to lack of communication or poor communication. So we need to make them our partners, make them understand. Like when I talk to parents, I tell them, I do understand it is difficult for you to trust me in the first instance until you see progress for your own child, right? Because no school is a good school or a bad school for anyone. If it changes my child, then it's a good school for better. And if it doesn't, I may be coming from the top school of the world, but if the child has gone down, in learning, then of course it's a bad school, right? That's how it is.
So my key takeaway from that, first of all, I was blown away with what you said. You spoke about this high contextual communication, low contextual communication. It's like when you're shaking your head, you mean yes. Every time my mother asks me, do you want this to eat? I say no, and she puts it in front of me, and I finish it. And that makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm taking away from this conversation is that you are asking, or you're inviting parents, or you're motivating parents to take more interest.
Yes.
To take more interest in what the school is doing, to take more interest, to be more invested in the
And be
child's
partners.
learning, the child's learning. Having such discussions. Don't ask, what was taught today in school? Ask, what did you learn today in school? Oh, I don't know, what did the teacher do today? Don't ask that. What did you do today in school?
Yeah, and how can I help you to do better?
Correct. How can I help you do better? And go meet your teacher. Be there for every open day. Be polite. Be respectful.
Absolutely.
Be encouraging.
Absolutely.
Because
Wherever I'll tell you, in all my experience with kids and parents, wherever parents have been equal partners with school, children have thrived. They have done really well. Now, and one most important thing, I think all parents would agree with me. No one on this earth would know better than themselves about their own kid. Not a teacher, not a school, anybody. Because they know their child best. And when you know your child best, don't you think that you should invest some time and take leverage of this, tool that you have with you and share the information pertaining to your child, to the school, to your teachers, and be equal partners? Why not?
yeah, I think that for that to happen, I think schools need to open their doors. And I don't mean physical doors, because safety is very critical, but to be able to say that we are listening.
Yeah, that's very important. I'll tell you, I'm being honest, I might be, what do they call? I may get a lot of
Flack.
comments, flaps, for saying this. When I returned from Dubai to Bangalore, I wanted to find out what trends changed in India after a couple of years, and I wanted to meet some principals. If I tell you that I didn't get appointments of couple of them, right?
You didn't get
At their
appointments.
flexibility.
And you being a principal from
Yeah,
Dubai
yeah,
coming back,
yeah.
you're like a colleague.
So that talks about how open we are at times in India. It's unfortunate. Of course, at the same time, I would say there are many great principals in the city. Really great. Some of them really I look for, them as like some ideal people as well. Both are there. But yeah, like you said, I think schools have to be more open-minded to invite parents.
You're a teacher.
Yeah.
You're an educator.
Yeah.
I'm a learner. I'm a student. Okay? So please correct me if you think I'm wrong. But this is the message I'm getting from you. If you have something to share, you tend to invite people and be open to people.
Yeah.
If you have something to hide, you may be more closed and you may be clam shut. You may be protecting, right? So I think, I don't know, you agree with that?
Yeah, that partially I would agree. Definitely
Okay.
that could be one. The other thing also could be, I don't know, there is this.
Could be a personality thing.
It could be personality thing. It could be rat race kind of an approach also. Like,
Competitive.
I did this.
Okay.
Oh, what if I just share these practices to the other school? Excuse me, let the whole community benefit, Ultimately, who is benefiting are the kids that are around, right? Why not we look at this whole thing, with that angle, right?
You see, when you come from a school which fosters collaboration, which fosters completion, which fosters open communication, people by default, these adults, these children in your classroom, by default are going to be sharers. They're going to work together.
Absolutely. I see that, because see, again, technically to tell you, we have almost zero bullying cases in this school. Why? Because they all work together.
Wow.
There's no problem with them. Of course, they do fight, a
It's
little
the
bit,
formative stage of character
yeah,
development.
yeah, not like a physical fight or whatever, they do express their, displeasures at times. But then I see kids are a lot collaborative, because of the approach that we do. And then that has taken away all the time, normally, at least 20% of my school time in the olden days used to go for disciplining kids. But I don't waste that now.
That's amazing. That's such a long-term investment, right? The payback, if you look at 20% across a school year, the instructional time that you
Yeah.
save is phenomenal, yeah? And all that time can be used for, teaching things that are more difficult and need more time. So I'm taking this lesson back saying there is no competition in schools.
Absolutely.
There is no competition in schools. There's one country, one nation, one people, one future, right? There is one destiny that we have, and we're shaping that destiny together. And even if you have to break that down into a very logical sort of way, just the population in this country is so much that I don't think schools really are competing with each other in that sense. And let's for a minute even accept that, okay, maybe I'm competing with my neighborhood school. Okay, maybe, just maybe I'm competing with my neighborhood school. But you're not competing with a school 30 kilometers away. You're not competing with a school in another district or another state. What stops you from picking up the phone, doing a little Google search, calling the principal of another school and saying, hey, you know what? I am reaching out to you, right? And that's what we did to you. And you just said, just come
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
right? You just said, come over. And
Yeah.
that's so welcoming. And that's so much of knowledge. You agreed to do this podcast,
Right.
right? In a way so that you can share this with other people. We can share it with other people.
Absolutely.
People who maybe like don't have the personality or the sense of security to be able to do something like that, at least watch and learn.
Right.
And I really hope you would like them to connect with you on LinkedIn or
Absolutely.
wherever you are.
I'll be happy to talk to anybody who needs help, because whatever little knowledge that I have, I would want to share it. That's a primary goal for any teacher. And thanks to you, for putting up that thought, of why school should compete. There's no need because kids are different, teachers are different, schools' visions are different. So even I have a next door school next to our building. Also, they'll have a different set of goals. They have a different set of kids. Things don't work. If I take one pedagogical approach from one school to a different school, it doesn't work like that.
Right, right. Phenomenal speaking to you, Mr. Suresh Venkat Suresh.
Yeah.
And I don't want people looking you up as with the wrong name. So phenomenal, listening to you. Such wonderful stories. I think you're able to bring the world into your classroom with your traveling, with your experience, with the people that you've spoke to, with just the sheer number of years that you've put into this. I'm so happy and glad to see that this small learning community that you have here has a wonderful inspirational leader like you. Is there any passing closing remarks or anything that you just feel like you should share?
I just have one thing to say. Yeah, but before that, thank you so much, Willie, for taking out your time to visit us, to see, and then do this digital version, for people those who can't reach out. What I would want to tell the community is, see, I think we are with changing times. We are thinking too much. We are thinking like for example, iPhone 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 16, all that. Things don't work like that in education. There are certain basics, and these basics will never change, right? Like any adult has to actually work on building up a trust with a child. and liking towards them, some sort of an admiration, some sort of an inspiration that they need to take. And the adult and the child, that's when they need to work together to solve some problems of the real world. And when we do it, I think that's the true purpose of the education, right? Irrespective of the board, whatever is being
So
offered.
these solutions, all these marketed solutions may not necessarily be the solutions. The core
No
of
need.
it is
Absolutely.
that relationship. And
Absolutely.
those are those time tested,
True. Just to quickly say that, today when my first few batches kids, when they talk to me, when they talk about their own kids now, when they ask me what school they should join, what curriculum they should join, these are the best moments of life, right?
Yeah.
You see your own kids having their own, right? Nothing like it.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you so
Venkat
much.
Suresh. And we hope to do more such podcasts with you.
Sure. Thank you.